Joy to the world, my fellow strangers. This is Mrs. Strange, and on today's episode for Stranger Universe, I will share with you my theories regarding the release date of Stranger Things 5. Before we start, please like, comment, and subscribe to see more episodes from Stranger Universe. Turn on your notifications to never miss another episode again. Follow us on our social media platforms to stay updated with Mrs. Strange and the Stranger Universe family every day. And now, let us begin. Now that Stranger Things Season 5 is done filming, and with 2024 coming to an end, it's time to make one final prediction regarding the premiere of the highly anticipated final chapter. We are gonna look at hints and clues from Ross Duffer's photo dumps and set leaks, as well as measuring how long editing usually takes to do for Netflix's flagship franchise. But first, we have to do a brief summary of the extensive delays that Stranger Things has faced in the past 5 years. You see, Seasons 4 and 5 were cursed by circumstances outside of their control, the former dealing with the pandemic and the latter with the Hollywood strikes. On top of that, the Duffer brothers increased the scale and scope of their story, with each subsequent season being more cinematic than the previous one. Stranger Things 4 wrapped in September 2021 after roughly a year of filming after production was delayed, just like Stranger Things 5. But Season 4 didn't premiere until May 27th, nearly 9 months later. Post-production on the final 2 episodes wasn't even done yet. The VFX was still being worked on until the day that Volume 2 dropped on July 1st. That is 10 months of post-production from the end of filming until the season finale. So, if filming for Season 5 only wrapped a few days ago, and given that it is the show's biggest and final season, post-production might take just as long as that, or even longer this time. That would mean we're looking at the 4th quarter of 2025, even if they split the final season in 2 volumes as well. You also have to consider that Netflix has a very crowded release slate for next year, thanks to the Hollywood strikes delaying the shows that were likely set to release this past year. The streamer has a lot of popular originals like Wednesday, One Piece, The Witcher, Black Mirror, and the final season of Squid Games, among many others set to share the spotlight with Stranger Things 5. So with all these factors in mind, when can we expect to see our heroes from Hawkins return for the finale? Let's look at the only official teaser that we have so far. The season is set to occur in the fall of 1987, further corroborated by Ross Duffer's photos throughout the year that showed us the overall autumn vibes that have been missing since the first 2 seasons. However, set pictures from paparazzi have specifically placed the season in November, exactly 4 years after the series began with Will Byers' disappearance in 1983. Other leaks have hinted at Thanksgiving being the background holiday, which continues the trend of placing the show around American holidays in both the plot and potentially the release date as well. It just so happens that with how long editing will take, the release of Stranger Things 5 could very well coincide with the main setting of its storyline. Netflix has historically released on Fridays before, but now they have shifted to Thursdays since 2023. Looking at November in 2025, there are 2 candidates for the premiere. The first is November 6th, Stranger Things Day. There is no explanation as to why this would be a great candidate. The other is Thanksgiving, November 27th. You could even argue that the Wednesday right before it, November 26th, is a better date since it's the start of a very long weekend here in the US, and more eyeballs will get to see Stranger Things Season 5. That's exactly what Netflix did with Wednesday, which we'll also talk about in a few. Now, as for the way Season 5 will be released, my guess is that we will get 2 volumes again. That strategy worked so well for Season 4 that Netflix replicated it with lots of other shows, and I can't see a reason why they wouldn't this time, even if Season 5 manages to be shorter in length. With Volume 1 in November, the streamer can release Volume 2 in December, which would bring the series full circle since Season 1 ended on Christmas. The last time Netflix released a show in 2 parts for November and December was last year with The Crown. Much like Stranger Things, The Crown was on its final season as well, and it was one of the longest-running TV shows on Netflix since 2016, second only to Stranger Things from that same year. While it wasn't as culturally impactful, it lasted 6 seasons, and was one of the few remaining Netflix originals that won multiple Emmy Awards, and stemmed from an era when the streaming service was focused on quality over quantity. It should be feasible that Netflix will also treat the final season of Stranger Things with the same level of respect, and treat it as the big holiday show of 2025. Now, which dates will be reserved for Volumes 1 and 2? If November 6th will be reserved for a release, it will be for Volume 1. The reason why is rumors have been swirling around that Wednesday Season 2 will come out in September. I know for a fact that Netflix will space out Wednesday and Stranger Things, since both are their most watched original series with the highest viewership ratings, and they happen to target the same audience. If Wednesday does indeed get a two-part release, like a lot of other popular shows, it would mean that Part 2 will get released in October. Furthermore, it is more apt for Halloween than Stranger Things due to the Addams Family being annual icons for the spooky season, with their movies and shows constantly being streamed every October. If it comes down between November 6th and Thanksgiving, Netflix will most likely pick the latter since Stranger Things Day is more of a fan event than an actual prime date for a release date. If anything, they can still use Stranger Things Day to heavily promote the final season as it premieres later that month. And with a month between the volumes, Volume 2 could comfortably drop on December 25th, which will be a Thursday next year, as well as the perfect Christmas gift for all fans of Stranger Things. And with that, I give you all my final prediction. Stranger Things 5 Volume 1 on November 27th, and Volume 2 on December 25th. There are other ways they could release Season 5, like a 3-part release that I previously theorized early this year, but the length of post-production seems to be so big that a summer 2025 window is unlikely. Then there's that possibility that they could hold off the final episode until 2026 and potentially release it in movie theaters, but it seems like Netflix is more confident in releasing the season in its entirety next year. With all of that said, it is crazy to know that we will wait 3.5 years between Seasons 4 and 5, after waiting another 3 years since Season 3. A lot of fans have gone through different stages of life during the time this show has been on air. I was only a sophomore in high school when Stranger Things first premiered back in 2016, but now I'm an adult in her mid-20s working full-time and settling down. Back in the day, shows like Game of Thrones and Friends would release new seasons literally every year, but now we have to wait at least a year and a half for the most generic teen show on Netflix to come back for another season. I know the wait is frustrating, but I trust the Duffer Brothers will deliver to us the best season yet. Here's hoping that I'm alive to see Stranger Things 5. Overall, very joyful times. And that is all that we have for today. When do you think Stranger Things Season 5 will come out? Today's special shout-out is for Kaylee Clark. To get a chance at becoming our next special Stranger Universe shout-out, type it down in the comments section below. Turn on your notifications to never miss another Stranger Universe episode like this one. Join us on our episode premieres to interact with Mrs. Strange and other members of the Stranger Universe family. Thank you all for watching. I am Mrs. Strange, and this is Stranger Universe. Over and out.